that will have to be removed in rain or snow. And they will bring in bitterly cold winter air to our youngsters' classrooms. Visited one of the rooms when the fan operated. The room is 48 degrees. That is shameful. Our educators are afraid, and they're afraid for themselves, for their families, for the students, and their entire school communities. And they're right. The district has an absolutely abysmal track record when it comes to addressing health and safety. Their facilities issues, largely exposed by this union and the media, have gone unchecked for too long. And now that we're amidst a global pandemic with new variants of the disease emerging and the vast majority of residents unvaccinated, think about that. Amidst a global pandemic, the like of which none of us has ever seen, the school district is hell-bent on forcing thousands of educators into unsafe buildings held together, in some cases quite literally, by duct tape. In fact, right behind me in Gompers Elementary School, dozens of classrooms are deemed unsafe for occupancy, meaning they have a 0 on the district's air balancing report. You'll hear a bit more from educators and parents in a few minutes, and they can tell you what this all means to them. Their stories are powerful, and it's incumbent upon all of us to listen carefully to the people who know the Gompers community best: the students, the educators, and the families. We are also grateful to be joined by so many of our allies in this fight. And so let me turn it over to them. Our first speaker is a graduate of the Philadelphia Public School System and a parent of a kindergartner here at Gompers School. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Catherine Gilmore Richardson to come to the mic and tell you why she's here this morning. Councilwoman. Thank you.
Good morning, Philadelphia Federation of Teachers.
Good morning.
Now I'm going to grade you a C because I'm also a former teacher. So good morning, Philadelphia Federation of Teachers.
Good morning.
I want to thank you all so much for being here. To Jerry, Hillary, Brandy, we thank you so much for your support, Art, and all of you who are gathered here today. I could have never imagined when I entered these doors in 1989 as a student here at Gompers Elementary School that I would be back here today as the mother of a kindergartner here at Gompers Elementary School. But as a former teacher, as a mother, and as a council member, I'm angry. I'm angry because we should not put our teachers in this position, ever. We are at a critical moment, a moment that requires us to put our children first and the safety of our teachers and educators first. We can do both. Now, I know personally how hard it's been to work in this virtual environment. I've worked with my daughter every day, and her teachers have been stellar. Some of you are out here today, keeping young people, 6-year-olds, engaged on the computer. So I know we're all looking forward to the day when we can go back into our classrooms. But today is not that day. Today is not that day. We must ensure that we have airflow and air quality tests for every single classroom in the district that will be utilized. We must have a vaccination plan. Where's the vaccination plan for all of our teachers who are educating our young people? Woo! Now, we've been home for almost a year, and I know it's been difficult. But we all must maintain our safety as it relates to COVID-19. We can't allow our teachers and our families to put their families in jeopardy during the middle of a pandemic. So we are calling on all of our partners from the city to the school district to come up with a safety plan, to come up with a vaccination plan, so we can allow our young people and our teachers to have an environment of trust when they return back to school. And I stand here today in solidarity with our teachers and with all of you to ensure that we have all of that before we return. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Our next speakers are teachers here at the Gompers School. First, we'll hear from Yolanda Tolliver.
Good morning, everyone. I am a school district employee and proud to say so. I've been with the school district for 34 years. I would like to say that my co-workers, this is a great staff here at Gompers, and we do want to work. We do want to come back, but we want to come back safely. That's all we're asking you, to come back safely. To know that the ventilation system is working here at not just our school, but all the schools. We're here to support and fight for one another. I'm so sad right now. I know that a lot of our parents, feeling so angry and, frustrated. But the thing is this, we want to work. We want to work safely. We want their children to be safe. We're not sure about what's going on. We're getting a lot of things left and right. Something here, something here. This is not good. I want to continue to work for the school district. I want to retire from the school district, and I want to do it safely.
Good morning. I'm here because the ventilation scores are not accurate. I want to make sure that our students, and staffs are safe entering the building. Fans are no plan. Let's get that straight. And vaccinate to educate. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Yolanda Tolliver. And the last speaker, Charmaine O'Hanlon. Yes. No, she didn't give her name, and I would have impressed to know who she is. Our next speaker is Council Member at Large, a huge fighter for public education, and a father of a child in our public schools, Council Member Derek Green.
Good morning. Good morning. I want to thank Jay Jordan, all of the teachers here from Philadelphia Federation Teacher. Randy, thank you for being here always, and Arthur and Hillary. And I want to thank all the teachers from Gompers for being here this morning. Now, many people know that my mother taught in the school district for over 30 years. I'm also known as a TK, or a teacher's kid. And I say that affectionately because I know the dedication that teachers have on providing education to children in the school district of Philadelphia. They get up early, they stay up late, and they are dedicated to educating and caring for our children. And this pandemic has been something that none of us could ever expect it. And they are dedicated because they want to get back in the schools and do what they are trained to do, which is educate the children of the city of Philadelphia. And on a personal note, as my colleague Catherine Gilmore Richardson said, we've been dealing with this pandemic as well as parents in the school district. And I've seen the dedication as I'm on a city council hearing and my wife's in a hearing or a meeting, and I'm seeing Mr. Roller and Miss Gale work with my son, trying to provide the best education that they can to my son and children all around the city of Philadelphia. Now, I've had an opportunity to go to Nevinger last week to see the fans, and the question that I have is why not allow the Philadelphia Federation teachers and parents and others to see the testing being done on these fans. So people have a concern. They have a fear. This pandemic is real. We've lost hundreds of thousands of people in this nation, and people have a fear of this pandemic. And I'll also speak as a parent. As a child on the autism spectrum, we have a different type of classroom environment. We have an autism support teacher. We may have 1 or 2 aides or 2 TSS workers per child. So even with 4 children in a classroom, we're talking about a number of adults in that room. How are we going to make sure that they're going to be safe? That's why we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure every child is safe and every teacher is safe, so we can get back to doing what we need to do, which is educate our children. And so that's why I am here as a proud TK, as a proud parent with a child in the school district, and making sure that we're doing all that we can to educate our children in a safe environment for those who really take care of the most precious asset that we have, which is our children. So I stand here with PFT, or will always be with you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Our next speaker is the state representative of the 192nd District. That's the district that Gompers is in. Our state representative, Morgan Cephas.
I know we're not supposed to hug, but you're a constituent.
Thank you.
Yes. I didn't know City Council Member Gilmore Richardson was going to tell the year that we both went to Gompers here. But I too had an opportunity to go to this institution. And the sad part is the same challenges that we were dealing with when we were younger, we are still dealing with today. And let's not forget that the PFT, the AFT, all the teachers, Senator Vincent Hughes, we stood at these schools not just a year ago, 2 years ago, arguing about the environmental remediation that needed to be done in these buildings, fighting with the state, fighting on the city level to get more money into our schools to fix our water systems, to rid it of the lead and asbestos. Fast forward to today, adding a pandemic on top of the issue only exacerbates the challenges that we continue to face in our school buildings. So it is wrong for the school district of Philadelphia, the administration, to ask our teachers to go back, to ask our families to go back, to ask our students to go back in buildings that have already been left untaken care of. And it is horrible to put population against population, to put parents against teachers in this type of pandemic, in this challenging climate. So I thank you for constantly coming to our aid and standing up for what is right and standing up for what we need to do to ensure that we are keeping our families, our teachers, and especially our students safe during this difficult time. And we will be standing with you now, just as we stood with you 2 years ago. And we will continue this fight and ensuring that we, tag our appropriations chairman over there to bring back money to the city of Philadelphia to better protect our, no pressure, Senator. But this will be a top priority of ours as we go into appropriation season. We cannot forget again that young student Chelsea, who talked about the differences in the schools, not just 10 blocks from here, but in Lower Marion Township, they do not have to worry about the challenges that we face here in the city of Philadelphia. So again, let's not forget the conversation we were just having, and let's make sure that we get all the dollars, all of the systems prepared that we need in order to keep our families, our teachers, and especially our children safe. So thank you for selecting Gompers Elementary School, and let's get together and join the fight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, State Representative. Our next speaker is an advocate for quality public education who's been fighting for a long time and is a member now of City Council. Our next speaker is Councilwoman Kendra Brooks. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I kind of Betsy in her conversation, as she talked about, this is a long-going fight. I stand here first as a parent, then as a grandparent, then as an activist, and then as a council member now. And what I'm here to say is this fight we've had about safe and healthy school buildings has been ongoing. And then we add on a pandemic, right? So when we talk in my conversations about school reopening plans, my plan was if it was your building and you had to go to work and the occupancy levels were 0 or 2 in various rooms, would you go? And until everyone can say, yes, I would go, in good faith, I cannot stand by the plan that's currently set before us. A plan that we need for our city means that every building has safe air to breathe, free of what we already had, free of the lead and mold and asbestos that was already there, but also just free to breathe with clear ventilation so everyone can be safe in that building. Number 2, we need to make sure we have a plan to make sure all school staff have vaccinations. Keep in mind, some of our schools are in the hardest hit areas of this city, where families are already suffering the trauma from burying loved ones. Families that are already suffering the trauma of caring for loved ones due to COVID. We cannot expect people to trust us as government officials, as city officials, making decisions for them that we would not make for ourselves. So I stand with the teachers around the city and here in Gompers saying, don't enter the building if it's not safe. I stand with parents who refuse to send their school children back in the schools that were already not safe. And I stand with us as a city as we fight for more funding to make sure that this problem is not an ongoing problem. Our children deserve better. Our teachers deserve better. And if we don't continue to fight for their well-being and being able to learn in safe, healthy environment, we have failed the children. So collectively, we have to create a plan that's safe. We have to create a plan that includes vaccination for all education staff, everyone in the building. And until we do that, the schools cannot open. I too would love for my children to go back to school. Keep in mind, I'm a city council person, I'm a mother and a grandmother who's taking care, like my colleagues. I homeschool my grandchildren, which are in kindergarten and pre-K. I have a 6th grader, I have an 11th grader, and I work every day. So I understand what it's like. I'm with you guys. I understand the pain. But my children's life, I cannot put on the line. So I stand with you, and until this is done, we will continue to fight. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Councilwoman. Our next speaker is someone who knows a lot about facilities, who has been working for years to fight for improvements in the schools that our kids and our members work in. And he has been a tremendous help to me as local president in fighting this battle. I'd like to have the president of the American Federation of Teachers Pennsylvania chapter come and give remarks. Arthur Steinberg.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you.